I made a video recently where I labeled The Simpsons the anti-sitcom, and I wanted to dig into what I meant by that a bit more. The Simpsons was made in the 1990s, uh, intentionally as not a parody exactly, but an investigation or a expose of the contradictions of the 1980s era of sitcoms. The creator had grown up with this, and he had come upon a reality that was different to that he had been sold. He was essentially playing out in the sitcoms the lie that he had experienced. I call it the anti-sitcom because anti-media, in this way, an anti-program, is something that plays out a medium's or a format's obsolescence. It engages with a logic to expose that it's dead. Sort of plays with a format, it puppets it to point out a truth or a lie. Often both. Now, you can think of this as the child that points out that the emperor is wearing no clothes. A anti-piece of media done properly does that pointing. It says the emperor is wearing no clothes, and I don't know how long he hasn't been wearing clothes for. That's the question we have to ask ourselves, I suppose. He's just a kid after all. So how does The Simpsons do this? Well, how does The Simpsons do this? Well, Homer is a parody of the patriarchal figure in the nuclear family of the sitcoms. Marge is similarly the parody or the joke of that patriarch's partner, the mother. And the children are themselves parodies. And the greater Springfield is a parody. Famously, Springfield, US is a very common place name in the United States, which is part of the point. The Springfield in The Simpsons is America, which is partly what explains the remarkable predictive capacity of The Simpsons. They predicted Trump. They predicted a bunch of other things. They predicted Trump being president, I should specify. They predicted a bunch of other things that I can't remember right now, but it's a common joke. Now, this is more a testament to how well they got the truth, how well they had pointed out at some of the contradictions that American society was based on. It's it's been remarked by some people that they can't see The Simpsons the same way once they realize that the creators' parents were called Homer and Marge. I won't get into the creator's psychology, can't speak to it, but it's interesting to remark upon. Now, similar forms of anti-media at the time were punk or grunge. These were also acts of disdain, of rebellion, of disenchantment, opposition to the current state of affairs. Now, when I paused it to myself before making this video, what's a modern example of an anti-piece of media, of an anti-culture? What came to mind was actually the latest Blade Runner movie, Blade Runner 2049, which is interesting for very many reasons, among them the fact that it stands as a depiction not of a future, which, if you have read sci-fi books of the 1960s and 70s, maybe of other eras, they were seriously grappling with what the future could look like. But some of at least the sci-fi that I engage with today, mostly seems to be reflective. Black Mirror, Blade Runner. I could think of others. There's others that I haven't thought about before. I wonder if Arrival was, in a way, a reflection of us. But I'm getting away from my point. Blade Runner is anti-media, or the reason I thought of it was because it's an anti-hero's story, Not that it's the story of an anti-hero, but it's the playing out of the obsolescence of a hero story. It is engaging with the logic of not heroism, but of having a character that we can identify with and relate with, and having him be the hero. In fact, in the movie, there is a character that we can relate to. In a scary sense, I saw in the police agent's life a lot of what us 20-year-olds may be growing up into and are currently growing in. Things that are not fun to see your generation in. But part of the utility of relating so much to the character and to seeing yourself and your peers in it is that as the story progresses and as the character finds himself in a sort of meaningless quest, something that he doesn't understand and doesn't know if he should pursue, he starts to build himself a sense of meaning. He starts to think, at first painfully, that he might be the hero. He might be the one to change things. He might be special. And, spoilers, he isn't. But we relate to the character, we want that to be true, and I wonder if that's what we want for ourselves. The playing out of it, in my eyes, seems to be the kid pointing out that, hey, hero stories don't make sense anymore. And I'm not sure exactly what that means. It might be that we just don't see anything in ourselves that could grow into heroism. I don't know. It did get me thinking that this might have been, if more time had been given to redrafting the script, what The Last Jedi could have been. That Star Wars movie that came out. One of them. The movie does seem to hint at this idea that there are no heroes anymore. But it breaks itself, it contradicts itself. The story seems to push in a direction and then pull back, and I think it was rushed. But it's not so much Dune's position. It's interesting that Dune was directed by the same person that directed Blade Runner 2049. But Dune plays with the idea that you should fear heroes. In a sense, Blade Runner 2049 is almost more relevant to a person, on a personal level, because it plays up the reality, it seems to me, and what The Last Jedi might have been able to play up, that there are no heroes in the room with us. In Blade Runner 2049, the climax of the story happens not where the hero is. He waits outside. Sorry, not where the protagonist is. He sits on the snowing stairs and either falls into unconsciousness or dies. I don't remember. I think that's partly the point. You are left somewhat disturbed and maybe possibly unsatisfied. But the quality of art is found in the quality of thoughts it inspires. Thank you for watching. I'll see you soon.